Okay, so I'm going to promise you you're going to learn some methods and a perspective from a very untraditional individual in this industry. We're all going to go on this journey together. I'm going to pack you up in my concrete canoe or Borgerson's concrete boat, and let's just hope we don't sink before the end of this presentation, all right? Before we get there, show of hands, how many of you guys here have played with Legos at least once in your life? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So you're all engineers and project managers, you just don't know it yet, right? All right. So I'm going to give you perspective on constructability coming from a very untraditional individual. You know how machines work, building, tension, bracing, compression, gears, pulleys. We all know how that works, so you all have hands-on already just by playing with Legos. So that was a very unstressed Melissa at one point in time. This is about 10 years ago. Look at that background, man, it's water, no worries in the world. After I graduated from UHD, I got the job, project manager at flood control, working for the government. Super excited, sharing all of my experience with my friends and my family. So it's time to party, ready to celebrate, right? Same girl, adapting to change. Yep, that's definitely the same girl, but that's not the water. Celebration's over. Time to put my resume to work. Never PM'd before, at least I didn't think I did. What if I didn't learn it in college? What if I had no clue what I was doing? How am I going to get this job done? I need help. Anxiety's up to here because as soon as my feet hit that ground and that concrete, I'm screwed. That was a 1 million square foot floor in Casa Grande, Arizona for my ASU folks over here.
All right.
That was for Lucid. If those of you who don't know what Lucid is, it's a Tesla competitor. It's a very exciting placement, massive. Same girl, adapting to change, but now she's going back to her roots. So coming out of construction law into engineering, what was I thinking? I didn't want to make any decisions. I was not confident in any task I was given because in law, it's yes or no, no maybe. It's black or white, no gray. I have new deadlines and commitments. What am I going to do? I realized I needed to take a step back. For those of you who had the privilege and honor of knowing and working with Dr. Ramon Carrasquillo, I had that honor. 20 years ago, it's the first time I ever met him. I was in law. I met him in the construction legal realm. And I tend to overthink. Those of you who know me, you better stay quiet. So Ramon, I would always go to Ramon. He'd said, you know, he'd always told me not to overthink it. He would do it in the Ramon voice. Melissa, stop overthinking. Just do it. Deal with it later. And when my friends would tell me that, I'd throw an attitude. But when Ramon would tell me that, I'd take it to heart. Some of you, he was a mentor to, maybe even a student.
He was my supervising professor.
And he will be truly missed.
Amen.
Find you a Ramon in this
Amen.
industry. So I began to research, took a step back, began to research. Somebody was supposed to meet me here, hold on. Oh, there he is. There he is, my truck driver, Mr. Brightside. He's running late as per the usual with his 8-yard truck full of word cloud. There we go. So I pulled an article from construction, Autodesk Construction, and I needed to start to figure out what my role was going to be working at flood control. You see the big words, right? Project, management, managers, budget, process, subcontractors. And then you start to get into the smaller words. Coming from law, I've always been a firm believer that the devil's in the details. And it definitely is in there. See, you might see a word maybe that says contract, approvals, cost, something we don't really take much effect to. So that was my research there. Kind of have a better idea of where I'm going. So what's constructability? What does it even mean? There you go, per ACI 134, that's what it means. Non-technical, the extent to which construction designs can be effectively and efficiently executed safely. So we have a what, but do we have a why? Why is constructability important? This is why. Philadelphia jury returned $68.5 million verdict over construction worker's deadly fall. Injured construction worker recovers $5.5 million because worksite had no ladder. Paralyzed construction worker receives $21.7 million after a spinal snap at the job site. Man crushed by building receives $64.5 million verdict plus a confidential settlement. I know I told you guys we're going to be on this concrete boat, but I didn't tell you it was going to be comfortable. This is why it's important. A 15-year-old boy, along with an injured mother and daughter in Milwaukee County, were together awarded $39 million in damages by a jury when a 13-ton panel made by a block builder fell due to improper attachment. The jury also awarded $15 million in punitive damages, with the other plaintiffs receiving no more than $250,000 total because there was a cap, according to state law. The block builder was repairing a parking structure owned by the county, which received $6 million for the damage. So the jury found the bulk of the blame, 88% fell on the block builder, 10% on the project manager, and 2% on the county. This is why it exists. Constructability is important because there's a process. There's a process in it, and this is what happens when you cut corners. And when you cut corners, you become a statistic, and not in a good way. So now that we don't want to do that anymore, and we just don't even want to be in construction, let's find our resources. Let's find some Ramon Carrasquillos. Who do we go to? Construction tradespeople, folks in the industry, mentors, those who have hands-on field experience, those who've had field management experience, and most importantly, good troubleshooters. Those are the guys that are going to help you get out of a jam really, really quick. So going through our process, you'll see how some of these principles that are listed are important in constructability and buildability. And we've talked about a few already: integration, available resource, construction methods, and getting feedback, critical feedback. All right, here we go. First day on the job, guys. We're project managing. We've been tasked our first project, which is to build a concrete castle. You have 90 days to get it ready to bid. You work at Concrete Pirates Engineering. So we're going to develop a toolbox of resources. And believe it or not, I brought my toolbox with me to Philadelphia today, and I'm going to give you all the same toolbox. So what resources do I have? You. That's you right there. All you guys with your PPE. You're your largest investment. So you have your technology, or not that old computer, but you have this in the palm of your hand at all times, right? You guys are the luckiest generation because you have this. You have your degree right there. You didn't go to school for 4, 6, or 8 years for nothing, right? You have your equipment, whether it's drafting, whether it's heavy equipment, you have your equipment, got to get the job done. You have your technical manuals, and you have your journals maybe in there, stuff from school. Your mentors. Looks like Krishna from NRMCA, actually. Don't feel like Krishna. You have your mentors. You have time. And most importantly, you have money. No budget, no project. So what do we know from concept to completion? Somebody who jumped from construction law to engineering and now chemical admix. What we know, very broad. We have a scope, intent, preliminary planning or design, detailed engineering and construction. So let's get started. Here's our scope and intent. Project consists of constructing a concrete castle that will be ACI President Michael Paul's vacation home. Major emphasis on this contract will be to focus on the earthwork, the structural slab, and the mass concrete for the structure. The intent of this contract is to use soil stabilization in preparation for the structural slab and all the concrete placed on top of it. So there's our design. So, President Michael Paul understands the advantages of building with concrete, so he only had a few musts. He needs space. He needs to do Pilates, so he needs 8,000 square feet. He needs 11-inch thick walls made out of concrete, and he wants a 2-story tower so he can see the guys from the asphalt industry trying to come and take over his land. The rest he left to the architects and the engineers to decide, so we'll leave it to them to fight over. So the engineering. When we're building our project manual, we need to focus on our earthwork and soil stabilization, multi-elevation footings, 3,500 PSI concrete with my admix, and load-bearing walls. They're concrete, so we need to focus on that in the project manual, prepare it for bid, so the contractor can take it to construction. 90 days are up, it's bid ready, let's go. They're starting, they're ready to go. Look at those guys, they're going at it, they're building up that land, they're ready to develop. Let's get his house ready to go so he can vacation. So there's your design. There's your final product. There's Michael Paul. Look at his little bow tie. He's there. He's happy. We got a happy client, hopefully a client for life. So now we kind of stopped doing the other 6 projects we're supposed to be doing. We got to get back to work. So what did we learn? We learned how to utilize our resources. The who, what, when, where, how, and why. Why constructability is important, right? And I promised you in the beginning you were going to learn constructability from a different perspective, right? So hopefully you learned that. If you have any questions for me, find me in convention. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to talk to you about anything except for concrete. Thank you, guys.